How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading while the price is going up or down. Binance CEO calls reasons behind employee turnover completely wrong. So he's saying that it's completely FUD and most the reasons were dreamed up by the news and are completely wrong, he said on Twitter. He said only one this week quit. He said that everything's being exaggerated, and they reached out to Hillman and Christie and got statements from them. Hillman said that it's true he's leaving Binance, but he's doing so on good terms, and his wife's about to give birth any hour to their second child. Christie confirmed that she's indeed leaving as well, but the reasons were very different than what was reported, and she cited health and family reasons and said she wanted to spend more time at home. So all the reasons that everyone said were completely fake. Bitcoin BRC-20 tokens are now moving over to Ethereum. So two of the largest BRC tokens on the market, Ordi and OXBT, have partnered with Emblem to release BRC-20 curated collections. This is a tool that lets users store tokens across blockchains without the need for a bridge. So this is a pretty good sidestep to bridges. Galen told Decrypt that the BRC-20 curated collections are important, and it'll be important to see how the community views them and whether they want to trade them like fungible tokens or they want some variety to trade them like a coin and a token. We'll kind of have to watch. Before, users would send their BRC-20 tokens to a Bitcoin wallet, which would mean a new ERC-20 on the Ethereum network. However, now, in this case, with Ordinals-based BRC-20 tokens, users send their Ordi or OXBT to a vault which stores the private keys and holds the tokens, and then you get a single ERC-71 token that will mint a Bitcoin-based NFT on the Ethereum network for you. Bitcoin falls to 30,000, blah blah, with expectations of Fed rate hikes. So I think we made a bounce. I'm not worried about the price. The important thing here is the rate hike. ADP Research Institute revealed that the strongest one-year growth in the U.S. job sector for the month of June, reaffirming the market's expectation of an interest rate hike in July. We've got like twice the number of jobs that we were supposed to have. We got 497,000. It was expected 225,000. Now, considering a lot of people going back to work is creating jobs too, so keep that in mind. Strong job numbers indicate a robust economy, allowing the Fed to hike interest rates further, or it could signal that no one has federal bailouts for themselves anymore. But our CME is rising could get a 25-point raise. We're at 92.4% chance right now, so we'll have to keep an eye on this. The next raise would be in about 18 days, if my thing will let me scroll here. 18 days and 18 hours, so about 19 days. So we'll keep an eye on this. Once we get closer, we'll come back to this. Over on our charts, I forgot to switch over again. Sorry about that, but we are getting a little bit of a pump on our altcoins, kind of like I said we could see, but we are also getting a pump on Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin dominance is slipping. Our stochastic overall is slipping. RSI is trying to make a bit of a curl here. Momentum's still coming down. Our VWAP is still coming down, and our money flow has not crossed bullish yet. So we'll have to watch the next candle and see if that money flow can cross bullish and if that VWAP can start to turn direction. Otherwise, we could see just a short-term pump and then a drop, as we did have that gap. So it is possible we could fill the gap and then get a correction. Bitcoin dominance, we are trying to scoop back up here. Our RSI is trying to head up. Stochastic's trying to make a bounce. Our stochastic's still in the bearish territory though. Our momentum wave is still getting kind of way lower high, so we really need to ramp up to get a consistent high with this to not form a bearish divergence. Our VWAP is trying to push higher, and our money flow is trying to ramp up, so we'll have to keep an eye if these couple of signals here can persist. If they can, we may be able to see another upswing, but it could come with a downswing if we do make divergences. Especially since we have this lower gap yet around this 20k zone where we should fill eventually. Usually all gaps fill, they have about 80% fill rate. So it's likely we'll fill this 35k gap, but with us pulling away, we may not fill it right now. We'll kind of have to keep an eye on. Stochastic is starting to fall pretty hard. RSI is starting to fall. Momentum's coming down. Money flow is rejecting away still, and our VWAP is crashing away. So overall, we're getting a decent amount of sell pressure here. Over on Bitcoin, our RSI is trying to get a little bit of a bounce. Stochastic has a bearish divergence here, so keep an eye on that, and it is crashing down pretty hard. So you can see that played out a few days ago. Kind of hard to see the green candle with how green this screen is, to change some settings for that. But our stochastic is trying to run up, our momentum's trying to run up. Our VWAP is coming down. Stochastic wants to get a bit of a bounce. We'll have to see if that can bounce. If our money flow doesn't start to get a little bit more momentum through this zone, we could get a bit of a rejection, as we've gotten rejected a couple of times here before. So keep an eye on that. That momentum, even though it wants to curl up, that will depend on if this VWAP can manage to straighten up. If it keeps coming down, that momentum could just roll over the opposite direction. Over on the 4 hour, we are retesting this Fibonacci, or this support resistance. We could come back down toward this Fibonacci since we got rejected if we're not able to maintain bullish momentum here. Our momentum wave is coming up, stochastic's ramping up, RSI is pushing up, our money flow is still struggling to break through this 14 and hold, so we could see another little dip down. Our VWAP is struggling to get a new high, it's kind of weakening out here, so our VWAP could start to lose some strength, and if that does happen, our momentum will likely follow. Over on the 2 hour, we are getting a little bit of a push, might be able to call this an ascending triangle, so that could save us, push us through this support zone, resistance area, and make it support. If that does happen, we could get bounce off this, and then we'd possibly retest one of these other channels. Keep in mind, we are still in that descending channel that's on the bigger time frame. That does have that 20k breakout. Our stochastic is trying to push higher, RSI is trying to push higher, our VWAP did get a bounce off that neutral, so our VWAP is maintaining bullish momentum. That's good for our momentum wave. So if this can maintain and our VWAP doesn't weaken here, we could see some further upside. Our money flow is trying to break through that neutral. It did get rejected twice, so keep an eye on if it gets rejected and starts to fall kind of harshly. If that does happen, we could see a pretty strong sell-off. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic's getting lower highs here, starting to kind of look weak. We may form some sort of divergence if we come up and our stochastic doesn't quite get up where it needs to be, like up here. Our RSI is trying to head up. Momentum's trying to push up, but that could form a divergence as well. Our money flow is in the bullish territory, so we did flip bullish here, so that is good. If that can carry over and continue, that can push our 2 hour into the bullish territory, and then we would likely see some further upside. Our VWAP's kind of sticking here, so just keep an eye on that, as if it starts to round out, our momentum's likely to follow suit. Over on graph for the daily, we are again still kind of indecisive here. A little bit of a, like, I don't know, you could call this a long upper shadow. You don't really have a body though. It's more of a doji candle, upside down like dragonfly. Our morning star, our stochastic is falling, RSI is falling, our momentum is coming down, VWAP is pushing down, our money flow is in the bearish territory still, but we are trying to push higher. So if we are able to get a bounce here, we could push. We are kind of bouncing around this support zone, support resistance. You see some candle touches here, you see some candle touches here. And we zoom out, we got that Fibonacci, or the volume profile. So if we aren't able to get some green candles here and push higher and break this Fibonacci zone, then it's likely we could push high, reject from the Fibonacci zone, and come to the point of control where we could test and possibly make a bounce off. So keep an eye out for that. If we aren't able to break through the Fibonacci, or we just break through this point of control, then our next stop could be the value area low after either case. Over on the 4 hour, we are kind of just sliding away, might have a descending triangle. could try and call it a descending channel too. Our RSI is overall losing strength. Stochastic is pushing down. Money flow is trying to break bearish, but is getting a bit of a bounce. So if we can continue with some green candles here, that could push us higher. However, if we start to set some red candles, we could see that money flow roll over and go bearish. Our stochastic's crashing down. VWAP is struggling to maintain bearish territory, but it's also not really strongly bullish anytime it goes up. So keep an eye if it kind of breaks through or touches this neutral and just flops over. If that does happen, then our momentum wave could get some further downside. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic wants to make a round up, so that could help push our RSI up. We are kind of bouncing around this 30 zone, so if we do bounce up and push through 30, we could give our RSI bullish momentum. However, if we reject away from this 30 zone, then we could see some further downside. Money flow is in the bearish territory here. Our VWAP is trying to break through that neutral, so if the VWAP is able to break through, we could get a green dot on our momentum wave, and that could help push us up. We might get a bit of a bullish divergence there. Over on the 1 hour, our RSI is trying to head up, stochastic's trying to get a bit of a bounce up, our VWAP is trying to push up, our money flow is getting higher lows and trying to head toward that neutral. So if our money flow is able to break through that neutral and hold bullish, then we could see that carry over to the other time frames, and we could get some further upside from here. Our momentum, as long as the stochastic maintains in this bullish territory, could push up here as we have that green dot. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are kind of bouncing off this value area low, so we do have a green candle. Watch if we can set some more green candles and get some bullish momentum to form here. RSI is overall struggling, but we are getting higher lows and trying to continue up. Stochastic is starting to round out, so, man, sorry, my ear just hurts right here. Our stochastic is starting to fall pretty hard. Momentum is starting to come down. We have a red dot that could push us down. Our VWAP is starting to fall. Our money flow is flipping into the bullish territory on the daily here, so that is a good sign for us. If we do get another green candle, that could confirm some bullish action. That will be dependent on these lower time frames. Our RSI is overall losing strength here on the 4 hour, but trying to roll up. Our stochastic's trying to make a bullish move up, so if that can break through that 30, that could help push our RSI higher. Our money flow is going to bounce off that neutral, so that is looking decent. Our VWAP is struggling to maintain bullish momentum though, so just watch out if it breaks bullish, as that'll drag our momentum wave back down. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic's trying to ramp up pretty decently. Our RSI is trying to make a run up, as our stochastic's got a good amount of strength. Our money flow made several bounces off that neutral zone and is trying to maintain, but it keeps getting rejected around the 6th zone, so if we're not able to break through and hold, we may see the bearish action kind of take strength. Our VWAP also looks like it's starting to struggle, as it's getting slightly lower highs here and starting to kind of touch the neutral a lot as well. Our momentum wants to come up, but if that VWAP rolls over, we could get another red dot that could bring us back down. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic's trying to ramp up, but our RSI is starting to curl away, so we have a little bit of indecision there. Our VWAP is starting to curl away. Our momentum is in the bullish territory, but with that VWAP curling, that momentum could curl with it. Our money flow is starting to reject away from that neutral. It was trying to come back up for a retest, but is currently being suppressed. So if it continues and makes a lower low, we could get some further downside. Over on XRP, we do have a little bit of a green candle here. Not really any decent patterns we could make here. Might have a little bit of a down channel that could be a bullish pattern for us. Our stochastic overall is pushing down. RSI is trying to get a push up. Our VWAP's trying to get a round up, but overall is in the bearish territory, so that's bringing our momentum down. Our money flow is getting higher highs and continuing to push forward, so that is good for us. If this can maintain, we may see everything else start to reverse away if the lower time frames allow. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic's trying to push up. RSI is overall struggling in this area. Our money flow keeps testing that neutral and could break through if we're not careful here. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory, but not looking too strong as it's kind of flattening out here. If that doesn't get some strength, then our momentum likely could start to pull back and we could see a red dot and we could see everything else start to follow it. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic's trying to get a bullish push up. RSI is struggling to get higher highs, but just trying. Our VWAP is making bullish moves, so that is good for our momentum wave as it's coming up with a bullish divergence. Our money flow is trying to break bullishly, so we'll have to see if it can maintain and if that can carry over to our other time frames and push us higher from here. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic's starting to curl down, RSI is starting to curl away, our momentum is pushing up, VWAP is starting to lose some strength here, so keep an eye on that as that could bring our momentum down. Our money flow is getting new highs, but starting to round out again, so just watch out if it breaks this around 7 or 6 zone. We could see some further downside. And last but not least, for Algo, we are below our value area low, pushing down a little bit. Stochastic is falling, RSI is falling, our VWAP is falling, momentum is falling. The money flow is kind of staying kind of flat, trying to inch its way up here, so hopefully we can get that to reverse and everything else can push higher. Otherwise, we may see another retest around this 10 cent zone. Over on the 4 hour, RSI is just slipping away. Our momentum is in the oversold zone, trying to get a push up, but it's starting to curl away as our VWAP's curling away. Stochastic's about to make a bearish cross, so that's likely to pull our RSI under. Our RSI is testing that neutral zone, so if we fall from here, that could set us up for further downside. Our money flow also is rejecting away from that neutral after trying to break through bullish, so if we set a new low, that could also be some precedent for more downside as well. Over on the 2 hour order, our stochastic's trying to ramp up. Our RSI is overall losing some strength here. We are trying to get green dots that want to push us higher, but we're not really going anywhere. VWAP is in the bearish territory and struggling to kind of break through, but it's also struggling to go lower, so we're gonna have to really keep an eye on if it flips bullish and gets some strength or not. Money flow overall is trending down. We are getting a higher low if we can make a bounce here, so that could be a bullish sign for us. However, our money flow is in the bearish zone, so even though we have that sign, it could take off. Our momentum is trying to push away with that red dot. If our VWAP starts to roll away, then we could likely see that start to fall even sharper, kind of like back here. Finally, on the 1 hour, stochastic is trying to push up. We are pretty much in down channel like everything else, so we could see some upside from that. Stochastic's trying to push up here, RSI is trying to bounce up, so that's good for our 2 hour. Our money flow is starting to make a bit of a curl here, so our money flow might try to push higher. VWAP is bouncing off that neutral, so if it keeps going in a bullish momentum, we could see some upside from here. And keep getting these indecisions or we get green dots, red dots, so hopefully our VWAP doesn't buckle. If it does, then we're likely going to get another red dot, and we could see some further downside. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.